Okay, this is my review of Star Trek Picard Episode 3, titled 17 Seconds. Again, another strong episode. So anything I say now won't be a spoiler, because by now you would have watched the first two episodes, or either that you can watch this at your leisure. What was really great about this episode is it was basically a cat and mouse kind of a thing that was kind of going on. We start off with a flashback with Riker and Picard. Right off the bat, I would say that the actual CG in it was actually really good with the de-aging. So de-aging over the years has kind of has got better. Obviously, some companies are better at it than others. Obviously, we have the reveal of Jack Crusher being Picard's son, which was obviously kind of I thought was great, because obviously that Picard never had kids, and his brother and his brother's son, which would be his nephew, died in a fire in Star Trek Generations. So they were the last of the Picard line. So that's kind of great knowing that he has, but whether it will last, who knows? Because if you know, with Star Trek, with Kirk and his son, well, it's going to be interesting to see how that's kind of going to play out. And what I thought was really great about the actual reveal was the actual confrontation between Beverly Crusher and obviously Picard, and then the actual acting between Patrick Stewart and Gates McFadden, when she's given her reasons as to why she didn't tell him, and then he's going back and forth as though that he had the right to know, and it was just you could really kind of believe that they were a real couple. Obviously they're not, because they're just acting, and that was kind of really great. The actual it was really kind of powerful between Gates McFadden and Patrick Stewart, that particular scene. I mean, it seemed very, it was very kind of believable and very powerful and very emotional on both sides. Some of the stuff that she did, that she was kind of wrong, and some of the stuff on his side, he was wrong, and they were both right and both wrong in a way. But it was kind of but it was really great. And then obviously Jonathan Frakes, he directed this episode. He was really great. He was great in it as Riker, still showing his sense of humour, but then also his serious side when he's having to take over the actual he had to take over the captain in their Titan. So now it's his responsibility to look after the crew and keep them all alive. Then we've got the stuff with Raffi and Worf, which was great to see Worf back again. As usual, being funny when he died and when he doesn't kind of realise it. Obviously, they've put out the statement saying that one of the Romulans blew up the Starfleet building. But obviously, Worf and Raffi know that this isn't true, that this is a ruse. They're trying to cover up what was really stolen. Although I do have a theory as to what really was stolen. Maybe I might save it for the end of the video. So then they have to team up. So then they have to go after this particular person who was involved, who they believe that was involved. And then the actual actor who's playing the actual character, he was a child actor. He played, funny enough, one of Picard's kids in Star Trek Generations when he goes into the Nexus. And the same actor as a kid was also in Voyager, where he played, I think Janeway was this nanny, and then she was looking after these two kids, and then this blonde kid and this young girl, and it's the same actor in there, but obviously his hair's black. And then so we've got that, and then basically it's the Titan versus the villain, and obviously their ship is a lot more powerful when it comes to weapons wise, and obviously there's a lot of nods to Star Trek The Wrath of Khan, even right down to the actual music and right down to the actual combat in the actual Nebula. and Riker wants to be more he wants to be more defensive, and then Picard wants to be more offensive in terms of attacking them. And obviously with Riker now being in command, because Liam Shaw gets incapacitated, it's a battle of wits as to which one of them is right. And obviously seeing the roles reversed, where Riker is the captain and then Picard is his number one, and even Picard makes a joke about that. And then Picard's son realizes that there's something about, they don't realize that there's something got foot, where the bad guys always seem to know where they are inside of the nebula, and he figures it out with the help of 7 of 9. But then you find out that there's a saboteur on board, and it's who the saboteur is. Well, the race of them, which will be very familiar. Then he does get something happens to him, but I won't spoil exactly what. And then Raffi, basically they capture this guy to torture him, to find out what he knows about the bombings, because obviously the story put out is that it's the Romulans been doing it, even though we know that this isn't the case. And then we find out that he's not really human. All I will say is that with the link with this guy that they've ended up torturing, and what Worf ends up doing to him, and then the person on board, the Titan, that's the saboteur. Let's just say that there's a huge link between the Star Trek series Deep Space Nine with a certain race of people. Again, like we'll talk more about this in next week's episode, once people have got over a week to watch this. And it was great seeing them again, and then seeing hints to other kind of characters. It kind of, when I was reading up on it about this third season, I did hear that there was going to be a lot of links to Voyager, which we haven't completely seen, but there have been some. And even to Deep Space Nine, which we haven't seen Deep Space Nine for me get enough love in the Star Trek universe, but now we're starting to see it. And with these certain people back, it's going to be very interesting as to kind of what happens. So Riker has his plan, which doesn't work, and Picard has his plan, which doesn't work. And basically there's a really tense standoff between Picard and Riker, because obviously things don't play out to how they should be, because obviously these people are already much more powerful and much more advanced, and always one step ahead of the Titan crew. So that's kind of going to be very interesting as to how they get out of this situation, because how it ends on a bit of a cliffhanger as to what happens, where the USS Titan is in big trouble. And for me, it's going to be interesting as to get out of it, because how do you sit and take on an enemy that knows what you're going to do before you do it, and then there was one step ahead of you, and their ship is way more advanced and more powerful than what you are. So it's how they get the situation. Obviously they are, because we still got a whole lot of more episodes to go. But yeah, I'm actually loving it. It's like, as I've said it before in our previous videos, it is literally like watching a feature-length movie, not just down to the atmosphere and also the acting and the cinematography, but also the special effects as well. It's like watching a big feature-length movie, but you're getting, obviously I think there's even 9 or 10 episodes in this season, but you're getting like nine episodes of it, or 1 hour episodes a week. So I'm actually really kind of enjoying it and where it's going to go. And as again, what I did say in my previous videos is that it's going to be interesting as to if they can sit there and carry on the quality of the story from now into the remainder of the season 3. And so far it actually is delivering, and even delivering more than I would have hoped for. So yeah, really enjoyed episode 3 of Star Trek Picard season 3. Right, and as I said before, watched it last night, and I'm already waiting with bated breath for episode 4, which is obviously going to be right next week. But yeah, I don't want to spoil the episode too much for people who haven't watched it yet. Obviously, you'll click this when you're ready to watch it, or you may not be too bothered, and right, unless like I put out spoilers. But yeah, my theory is as to what I said about the bombing was used in the Starfleet was used as a distraction because they wanted to take something else. I may be wrong, and this is just my theory, so this is just a spoiler alert. So a quick heads up. I think that they were trying to, that what they really wanted is that they wanted to get Lore, was it Data's evil brother? Now I don't know why, but I could be 100% wrong. But it just seems a bit strange that when Lore, obviously with Descent parts 1 and 2, when Data eventually beat him, and then they deactivated Lore, and then obviously he was disassembled. And obviously with B4 that they found in Star Trek Nemesis, and they couldn't fix him up properly because his neural net was far more primitive than Data's. Obviously that the Data Institute had B4's body in storage, but they obviously would have had Lore as well. So if they had B4 in storage, obviously they would have had Lore as well. So I'm thinking that maybe that's what they're really after. But the question is if that is the case, the question is why. But as I said before, I just think the whole episode is just was just well acted. Captain Liam Shaw, who you thought was a bit of a git, now you understand why he's the way he is. I still think obviously there's stuff about his past that we don't know about, because the villain, played by Amanda Plummer, she seemed to know a lot about him. He seemed to have got himself sorted out. So she seems to know a lot about his past, more than anybody else. So I'm hoping that we do maybe find out about his past. Maybe they may even do a flashback explaining why he's so uptight and why he's the way he is. But you do get the sense that Captain Liam Shaw does care about his crew. As I thought, the villain, I'm really liking this villain, played by Amanda Plummer. It's going to be interesting, with her, and as to why she wants Jack Crusher. Does she really want Jack Crusher? Is it Picard that she's really after? I mean, we don't 100% kind of know. Again, I'm hoping they do a flashback with her to explain her motivations and as to why, she's become the way she is. I touch wood that they actually do this, and I assume that they will. So yeah, that's my review of Star Trek Picard episode 3, 17 seconds, season 3, final season. Oh, and one thing I wanted to also add is that we've heard the news that Star Trek Discovery season 5 will be the final season, and that will air in 2024. So yeah, that's came out of the blue, but some ways I'm kind of not surprised, because they don't tend to give the Star Trek shows in its 7 seasons anymore. So in some ways I'm kind of not surprised, but then at the same time it's a bit out of the blue. So he's hoping that season 5 goes out with a bang, and it's going to be interesting as to what other Star Trek series that they're going to replace it with, because now they're getting the Star Trek franchises now. We lived a long time. We lived quite a long while with no Star Trek shows, and now we're getting loads of them now. Well, aside from the films, because that seems to be in limbo now. But here's hoping that we get some new shows to start replacing them. Obviously, you've got Strange New World season 2, which I don't know when it's airing. That could be this year, later this year. I assume that could be the case. And then you still got Lower Decks and Star Trek Prodigy. So yeah, let's hope that there's more Star Trek TV shows and movies to come. So yeah, I hope people enjoy this review, and expect to see more reviews of Star Trek Picard season 3 final season next week.